Hey y'all, it's Diane at the Dianiverse, and I want to welcome you to my fiber space here. Today's podcast is going to talk about the recent Florida Tour de Fleece, and I'm also going to be talking about growing and processing and working with cotton in my fiber journey that I'm doing at the moment. So of course Patreons will get this full video. There will be a section of it that's free that goes onto YouTube that you can watch if you want to get an idea of the things I talk about. And last time I was here, I talked about banana fiber a little bit, and the update is that I don't have an update because I was out of town for 2 weeks and haven't done the alkali bath yet to work with the fiber. So that's definitely a to be continued topic. Side note, the piece of fiber that I am working on today is a piece of linen from my old design center job times where I got a little extra fabric here and there, and it has been dyed with cedar. When I lived in the Pacific Northwest, I would find cedar often after a storm, or even sometimes in the neighborhood. You know, people's houses are like they're precious, so they cut down all the trees. If you see someone cutting something down, that's a good time to grab some to use. Cedar is extremely useful for all kinds of things, and dyeing is one of those. This one happened to be after a storm. Never cut down or cut off pieces of a tree because you can definitely get stuff without doing that. For example, right after a storm, as I mentioned. First thing I want to talk about is the recent Tour de Fleece. So I found a group. They were called the Fairy Tale Spinners, and we had a lot of fun following the Tour de France. The Tour de Fleece is an event that follows the Tour de France as the bicyclists go across France. We meet up and we spin with our spinning wheels because they're both wheels. Get it? Anyway, there are challenge days and there's easy days because it just follows along with the race. And this is what I managed to get spun from my already dyed wools while I was following the Tour de Fleece. So at first I had 2 skeins of woad that I got spun up. This is an old acid dye project that I did at a local group day one day, dyed with acid dyes. It was a very fluffy top, and I had been drop spindling it, but it was taking forever, so I decided to just go ahead and put it on the drum carder and then go ahead and get that spun. It did mute the colors a little bit, which is the reason I was using my drop spindle to keep the colors more separated, but I actually kind of like the mermaidy soft colors that I ended up with. Next, I have this, which I have lost the label for. I believe that was rhubarb root on a brown merino. Oh, I see a little drum carder tooth in there. That's not good. I was having a little trouble till I got my tension with my drum carder right. I was losing a few teeth, which I'd rather not, right? But I love this beautiful burnished gold color that the rhubarb root came out on this brown merino. So spun that up. This is a Columbia wool, and it's coming out dark. There we go, better. This was dyed with butterfly bush with the flowers, you know, those lilac-y flowers. Makes a beautiful lemon-colored yellow, and I only did a small skein because I was trying it out. It had been the first time I dyed with that, but I love this color. Unfortunately, that was when I was in the Pacific Northwest. Doesn't really grow here in Florida. I looked for that bush while I was recently visiting, but apparently somebody took it out. It's considered invasive there. But what better to do with invasives than to use them up? So there you go. Hope you can't hear the yard trimmers. Seems like they're trimming every day at some house or another in the neighborhood. So I apologize in advance if there's noise. And I am looking into a microphone so that the sound quality is better. I just haven't decided on the one that seems the best. So to be fair, I had a small amount of seeds that I got from a local grower. This is all upland cotton, which is native to the Americas. Cotton is a prehistoric plant. It is in the Americas, like Central and South America. It's also over India, and from India went to Egypt. So at one time, these were probably on that one big supercontinent that split apart, and you still find cotton on both ends. So a very ancient plant, a very sacred plant because it gives, right? It gives us clothing, it gives us rugs, bags, all kinds of textiles that we can use with its furry little seed pods. This year I grew brown and white. White is the most productive, of course. And my personal favorite is the green. From what I've read, these will get darker if I wash them with an alkali. I haven't tried it out yet. I'll have to report back on that. I plan to do them with hand carders because I saw people making them into Rolags to spin that way. So that's what I will also be trying to do, and I'll have to report back on that too because I haven't done it yet. So I wanted to talk to you about some of the cultural aspects of cotton, and then I'll do a little demo after I do this segment of how I am carding the cotton. So as I mentioned in my other video, cotton has a long history. It's a very ancient plant. Sorry, I'm squinting because it was cloudy and then the sun came out. You can see I'm dressed differently. The other day when I was doing my videos, even the camera was complaining. It said, please cool down device before you continue shooting. So I had to wait for a day a little earlier in the morning where it's not quite so hot. Florida is intense. The cotton loves it, me a little less. But cotton is a very ancient plant, and it protects its seeds by having this fluff all around it. And that fluff is what we use, as I showed you in the other videos, of the seeds to make our cloth by spinning it into string. And so there's a process to that. You have to get the seeds out. I'm hoping my neighbors, people aren't just about to come over here with the lawnmower. It's always something, right? So you spin that cotton. It's very short fibers, and so what we want to do first, what historically people have done, is they will card it. They call it that because you have these paddles, and they have what they call hard cloth that has all these little metal tines in it. I mean, back in history, that would have been a slightly different thing. They used nails or various things, teasels in some places. I don't know all the historical ways that they turned this fluff into something they could work with. I believe in South America they will actually kind of spin from the fluff somehow. They've just have that skill. They've learned how to do that from just generations of doing it. Because cotton is native in many places in the world, in the Americas. India, and they used it in Egypt, many places. That fluff was a very important component of making cloth for humans to clothe ourselves and protect our little bodies from the environments. My personal take with cotton, I'm doing some, they are coming into the yard, darn it. Ancestral healing around this. Oh gosh. Keep trying to make this video. Alright. Okay, we're gonna try again. Hopefully I'm talking loud enough. You can comment below. I can take constructive criticism if I'm not talking loud enough. I still haven't found the perfect microphone. That's the Virgo in me. I gotta find the perfect one. And then about that time I'll probably change phones. So anyway, culturally, there is a lot of cultural history around cotton. There's a whole class system in India. You have slavery in the south of the United States that was greatly supported by the cotton industry. And my own personal history, my grandparents back at the turn of the last century, early 1900s, were sharecroppers. Sharecroppers were people who would work a farm. They usually had very large families, so they could show up for the landowner and say, we got 13, 15 people. We can work your crops. And then they would get, it's getting closer again, but I'll try to keep going. They would get a tiny share of the profits at the end, which was kind of enough just to keep them in food for the next season. It was a very hard life of privation and doing without. My own grandparents wanted to leave that life as they were adults and began to have children, so World War II kind of intervened. They were able to move to the north, get factory jobs. Sharecroppers were largely illiterate descendants of immigrants. They knew how to work with plants and crops, but they didn't know how to read and write, and so they were at a disadvantage in society. Hold on. Okay, here we go again. He's just finishing his job working on somebody else's land to raise his own family, right? So I can't really complain. Yeah, and they were able to transition. My grandmother, according to her anyway, was her father's favorite, and so she got to go to school until the 3rd grade and knew how to read and write, whereas my grandfather didn't learn how to do those things until he was in his 30s so that he could move up from a janitor job to a higher paying job. Back in those days you could do that. It's a little hard these days. In some ways we've moved forward, in some ways we moved back, right? That's society for you. And so I have this personal history with the cotton because that was that hard life where they would work the land by hand. They don't do cotton that way anymore as far as I know. What they do is they go around and spray glyphosate on the cotton so that it will all ripen at once, and they don't have people out in the fields hand picking anymore. It's done by machine as far as I'm aware of. And so for me, this is my personal choice, right? To be able to have the privilege to grow my own cotton and pick it myself by hand with respect, and trying to come full circle in my respect for the plant and the gifts that the plant gives us, as opposed to societal and corporate interests who maybe are a little less intentional with how we get our cotton. And so when I buy cotton products at the store, one, I'm mindful of the work that it takes and that it's from a living, breathing thing. Also, I try to get organic because of those pesticides and chemicals that can be on the cotton that we buy. I bought my cotton seed from a beautiful young black man who's just a beautiful soul, and he has on his cards, his business cards and things, love the cotton, don't blame the cotton, right? So all those things, all those negative societal constructs that people have built around how cotton is grown, it's not the cotton's fault. The cotton is a beautiful plant giving us its gift, and I really appreciate his insight on that. It was beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this carding of the cotton. So you have your 2 paddles. You want to use paddles that are finer teeth. There's more teeth per inch is the way that works. More of these little metal tines per inch creates finer work because you're working with something that's got a very short staple, and I'll show you that. So when you're pulling this cotton off, it's like literally like not even an inch that you're working with, whereas wool will generally be a little longer. It does like to stick together. It's got those like little scales that work together, which makes it a little easier to work with. And so you will put one paddle on your leg with the handle facing outward because you're gonna be holding on to it, and you'll take your cotton and you just kind of spread it out on over the little tines, not too thickly, but trying to kind of fill in. And you'll just get yourself all the way across here with some of your cotton. Yeah, that's pretty good. If you get it too thick, it's a little hard to get the teeth from the other paddle across it. So you're going to pick up your other paddle and you're going in the opposite direction from where this one's facing. So you're going to be going across your other leg, and you just kind of go across, and you do this thing that they call flicking. So you come across gently and then you kind of pull up at the end, and that spreads the cotton out more. And I find with the cotton, what I've been doing is going over it twice. So I'll do that, and then I kind of use the back of the second paddle, and if you do that flicking motion, a lot of that cotton will transfer to your second paddle for doing round number 2. And I'm doing this the way you do wool because that's how I learned how to card, and I'm gonna give it a little attempt because I heard or I read that you do cotton slightly differently. And so I will again go across. Mostly you hold it on your leg. I'm trying to hold it up to the camera, but you can see it here, so I don't need to do that. And I'll kind of start with this bottom part and work my way across so that I can get it all onto that other paddle, which of course is harder when I'm looking in front of the camera. It's taking me a little longer than I usually do. All right, we're just about there. And you're not going to get every single speck, so I just, do well enough. So I turn my second paddle this way. Supposedly there's a right and a left. I haven't found it working that way for me, but could be doing it wrong. I'm not super experienced with that. And then I'll kind of push. I'm pushing across. I'm no longer going this way. Now I'm pushing the opposite direction, and that will push my fiber back across the paddle. And I do have a little more cotton there than I planned on, but that's because I'm nervous in front of the camera. Now you can see how it starts to roll up, and that's what you're going for. That's why it's called a roll-up. And I will go all the way over, pushing the cotton in front of the paddle. And you're not so much flicking with this, you're just kind of pushing. And then we get to the end, carefully lift it out, and then you have your nice roll-up. It is a little bit long for a very short fiber. I've been breaking them in half. I haven't started spinning because I have to actually repair my Saxony linen wheel. It's an easy fix. It's a little piece of leather fell out, found some leather. Just got to put it in there, and then I'll start trying to spin this. Okay, so what I've read about cotton is that, again, you're gonna do your little carding. So I'll get this carded again, and we're gonna do something that's called a puna. Ouch, something biting me, of course. It's Florida. Can't go outside without something biting you. And I really am trying to make the best of Florida, but it's rough out here for me. My Scottish ancestry does not really love the tropic heat. Okay. I think it's good enough for demonstration purposes. So, what I've read, and I'm just trying this out, I haven't done it before, so we'll see if it works, is instead of going long ways, I want to somehow go sideways. So let's see how that works for me. Okay, I don't quite this way. That might take a little more practice. But I think that the idea, is that you're trying to get something shorter and not so long. It's not quite doesn't flow as easily as the roll-lag did. Let's see. So maybe you go from each side. They didn't exactly have a video description of that. Let's see what happens. I'm kind of losing a little bit of cotton trying to push it. And I think part of the idea is you just have this fluffy thing that's like a cotton ball that you can spin from. I'm having a little trouble moving it from the sides though. If you have more experience with this, I would love to get some insights. But I will also just keep practicing because I am going to do my whole jar and my other 2 jars, my colors. Well, let me try pulling this off and see what I got. Maybe that's enough. Okay, well, I do have something shorter and fluffier, and I guess you would kind of pull from the center or something. I haven't started spinning it, so we'll see how that works. I'll try out the Rolag and then I'll try out the Puna, and that is definitely like a shorter, fluffier kind of ball. So we'll give it a try, and I will let you know the results and how that goes. But this is my cotton, my first year harvest, because first year growing it here in the tropics, where it's much happier than it was in Seattle. Never got any cotton there from the plants that I tried to start. But I will let you know how it goes and how my project, my little sun hat I want to make, goes also. So back to the rest of these videos, and I hope you enjoy this month's videos. If you're watching on YouTube, well, I'll make another blurb for that, but if you're watching me because you subscribed, I appreciate you very much. And I'm going to try to do these videos once a month. I was trying to do them before a little more often, and I was finding I was struggling to get out the quality of program that I wanted to do. And so all the little dragons are staring at me. Sorry, we have a million iguanas here that love to eat my food, including the cotton. They love the hibiscus family. So they're all trying to decide if I'm going to chase them or if they're safe. I'll have to chase them in a minute. I like to chase the dragons. Yeah, so I'm trying to do a little longer video that's a little more informative so that it feels like a real kind of vlog experience. So let me know below if you like the shorter videos or if you like these long videos like this where I get it into some subjects. All right, take care, y'all. Bye-bye. A little bit about the different colors of cotton, how the cotton grows, and just a little educational background here. So the cotton, when you first see it, it looks like this. It's a flower. It's in the hibiscus family, so you might recognize some of those leaves and flowers. Other plants in that family include okra, your hibiscus that you get for that red tea, and cotton is very closely related, and even marshmallow has a little bit of that look to the leaves and the flowers. Next, the flower falls off and you get a pod, which is called the boll. Once that's ripe, it will start to open. That's a good time to pick it before it gets rained on or it starts dropping the seeds. I have some trying to grow like in the pool cracks where they fell while I was out of town. If you let it dry out on your counter, it will begin to floof, and then you get maximum floof. Here I've got a white, and then I have a green pod. It has like kind of whitish tips when you first are taking it out of the boll pod. And inside the floof, then you're going to find your seed. And the way that we get cotton is we pull that fiber that's protecting the seed, pull all that fiber off, and that is your cotton that you are going to spin up. Of course, I'm saving my seeds. Seeds have been used traditionally. You see cottonseed oil. Farmers in India would feed it to their cattle. They had a debacle a few years ago where they had GMO corn and it killed all their cattle. So definitely organic is the way to go so that you know that it's being grown properly and isn't full of tainted with chemicals. Finally, when you get all the fiber out of the pod, you end up with this cool looking pod like this one that I want to figure out how to make some kind of interesting jewelry out of, because I just has to make all the things. You can ask anybody that knows me. I do have some set aside for making some little pins. So these are what the white seeds look like. They have a kind of greenish undertone, but the green seeds actually look like this, much greener, right? And then here are the brown, which are kind of interesting because you get like hairy and then smooth seeds with the brown. They were kind of a mixed lot, which I found kind of interesting. I'm not sure what the difference is, if there's a difference in the fibers or not so much. I do have a small amount of seeds available. Hit me up on my Instagram if you want to order some. May put them in an Etsy shop. Haven't gone that route yet, but can definitely send you seeds through Instagram. I've got the link below. I'll put it in my Patreon and on YouTube. I'll have it down below in the description. Just check it out. This is a subtropical plant, so it does better if you have hot summers. Likes a long growing season. I grew these, I started them in like December. Already had the main harvest, still getting a few bowls. So I would say they were largely ready by the end of May, early June. So that is a long growing season. It's like 6 months. If you have a greenhouse or somewhere where you can get them adequate light and warmth, you may be able to grow these a little further north. So consequently, I don't have seeds yet for tree cotton because it's just now starting to set fruit. And I would really say if you don't live in somewhere subtropical, probably it's not going to do real well for you. My friend who gave me these plants in Seattle said hers didn't thrive, even though I tried bringing them in, etc. There's some debate in Florida if the native cotton here, they tried to eradicate it with the Army Corps of Inspect the last century. That means like around 1900s, early 1900s. They were afraid that it would carry the boll weevil and it would influence or affect the commercial crops, and so they tried to eradicate them all. There are still some out in the wild. Some people have said they think it's an Indian cotton that someone was growing and it escaped. Other people think it's a native cotton because, as I said, there are cottons native to the Americas. Debate's still out on that one, so can't tell you for sure. Anyway, I will definitely let you all see the product of me trying to spin this cotton for the first time. I'm very excited. This is my first time growing cotton successfully. I had also tried some of these upland cottons in Seattle and they didn't like it there. It's cold and wet for too long. But very excited to have a harvest this year. Hope you enjoyed this little talk. Hopefully it's interesting, even if you don't grow it yourself, like knowing how the products are grown. Like if you use cotton, if you're spinning cotton, if you wear cotton clothes, it can be very interesting to know what goes into that and to get to know the plant. When I was teaching more of the herbalism, I always encourage people to get to know the plants they were working with, because there's just a lot that you get out of having that connection to the spirit of the plant, right? I'm very excited to wear something. I'm planning to make that cotton into a hat. I hope I have enough. Cross your fingers for me and let me know below if you got something out of this video. And I'm gonna try to do the Patreon videos. Right now I'm doing them once a month. It'll be the entire video on the Patreon, and then I'll have like a shorter version on YouTube for people to see for free, so that you don't miss out. You get to see some of it. Consider becoming a Patreon. It's not a lot of money per month. I'm trying to keep it reasonable, and I hope you can learn something if you're into textiles or gardening. And I hope you'll join me on my fiber journey. All right, take care, y'all. Till next time. wanted to show you my dye project for this month. And this is some cotton gauzy fabric that I had. So this is on cellulose this time, not wool. It's too hot for wool in Florida, although I can do my tapestry weaving with wool. But this is cotton gauze, and I dyed this. Someone gifted me some leaves and trim from cannabis, and I collected like a whole bunch of it over a little period of time that they had left over. And if you can get gifted some of this from some a grower or wherever, stuff people have left over, it makes a beautiful light yellow kind of dye. I simmer this at low heat. It's not something I boil. Simmer it, and then I just let the cotton stay in there. So that was my project.